that
I'm
takes us
excited
to
for this one.
our next album, which under most circumstances should be the biggest artist we talk about.
No.
But not
yes,
this month.
it should.
It should, but this month it's not. We have I Prevail, who have finally dropped their album, True Power. I say finally dropped. They announced this like 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very fast turnaround for an album. And as I said when we talked about bad things last month, I was scared. I was very scared. Because Trauma was a very mixed album for me. Bow Down and Rise Above It and Hurricane are all incredible songs. And then
speaking facts.
The other half of that album just does nothing for me. And if you consider the fact that Bow Down and Hurricane were singles, I believe anyway. The point being that, like, the singles leading up to True Power had me cautiously optimistic that I'm afraid that I'm going to like the singles and then the album's going to be 50-50. We don't live in that timeline. This is my favorite album of the month, uncontested, by quite a long shot. And I think the only song that falls flat is, unfortunately, the closer in Doomed. Slow ballad type closers generally don't work for me unless they have a build to them, and Doomed is just a slow ballad. I wish that wasn't holding me back from ranking this album even higher, but it's hard for me to find flaws in the rest of this album, if I'm being honest.
All right, Derek.
I want to hear what Justin has to say first.
Yeah, actually, that's true. I feel like Derek and I are on the same page with this album, though.
Oh, it's time for me to hurt some dreams.
Oh, you're not.
Yes, I need
anybody
Justin to
except
evaporate this. It's gonna make me happy. I don't get to hear Justin eviscerate things a lot. He's always very passive. I need this.
So I will say, I did like some parts of this album. In fact, Fake is still in my repeat rotation, surprisingly. There's Fear and Letting Go. I love the transition from the prologue opening into it. I thought it easily is the best song off the album, and it's not close. Bad Things is good. I liked Bad Things as a single, and it's good here. Doomed, I adored that they did something different, because a lot of stuff off of a Post-Traumatic just wasn't feeling right for me, and a lot of stuff off this kind of blended a lot into mediocrity for me, and kind of just didn't separate itself enough to make it interesting for me. Doomed, I think, did that, and Closure as well. I'll say, I would say the last four on the album are probably some of my favorites. The Negative and Closure, good. Doomed, good. Everything else, I didn't like. And that's just because I'm not a fan when you get kind of just generic sounding hardcore music.
go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Oh, I was just going to say is, I feel like it's when bands actually show what they can do and not just be heavy for the sake of it, where I think they prevail, and funnily enough, I Prevail. Kind of missed the mark in a lot of that stuff. Again, when they do it different and they actually show they're talented, Doomed, Fake, there's Fear and Letting Go, and kind of the Negative and Closure, I will say, are pretty good. The others, forgettable.
Man, I think he kind of nailed it.
Oh, good.
I think he did.
Oh, good.
There are a few good songs on here. I think There's Fear and Letting Go is good until the build-up starts talking about writing his name in cement. I don't really get... I think the problem is the songwriting. The lyricism. Specifically.
No. I think the lyricism's fine on this.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd think by a third album they would have some...
See, I don't think so. I think, to me, I think this album's okay. And I think it's bookended by 5 really good songs. I guess 4 if you count the opener transitioning into Fear There's Letting Go. and then the last three. And I think everything, sorry, Justin, from fake to the negative
No,
is
hold
just
on.
okay.
No, I can see why.
What am I holding for here, Jacob? You're free to disagree with me, but I need to know what you're
You're
disagreeing with me on.
right, but fake is included in the good half of the album.
I don't like the chorus.
After Judgment Day until you get to Visceral.
Nah, Closure and Visceral slap. I don't want to hear
Actually,
any Closure fucking...
I need to listen
Any-
to Closure again, but
anything on
Visceral,
that, bro.
Visceral slaps. Doomed. I read this online. I was like, it's totally accurate. Doomed is literally a Sleep Token song instrumentally.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Missing Limbs. Minus the, like, kind of ambient build-up at the very end, but... of Missing Limbs, I mean. It's very similar, I guess, to that last closer, which is I Don't Belong Here, which is honestly a top 3 I Prevail song for me, maybe top 5. That's so fucking good. Actually, no, it has to be top 5 because Bad Things Bow Down. And yeah, okay. Anyway, my thing with this is that I think that I Prevail put a lot of effort into this album. This to me feels very similar to The Path by Fit for a King, where I don't like it as a whole, but it feels like the band put a lot into the album. Like, even if a lot of the songs kind of blend together into being okay or mediocrity for me, I know I Prevail put a lot into this. I can feel it.
I can see that, but some of the lyricism is just awful.
Well, and here's what I think the band's trying to do. I think with including, and I think I mentioned this in the Discord, but I think I Prevail is trying to be this generation's Linkin Park. I think by introducing the rap vocals and the way that they're trying to ascend the ranks of popularity within the rock metal scene, they're never going to be Linkin Park. But I think with that,
because
yeah.
I personally find Mike Shinoda a better vocalist than Eric is.
Maybe for I would say for this, yeah, I would say for this style of music, maybe like rock or metal with rap in it. I think that this I Prevail. When I first heard Lifelines, I was like, this band is going to be so good. Lifelines, the title track was one of my first metalcore songs.
Heart versus Mind as well, dude.
Yeah. And then I got Bow Down as a single. And I remember exactly where I was, what time of day it was, and what I was doing when I first heard that song. And I couldn't put it down, and I thought this band is fucking ascended. And Trauma was a top 10 album of 2019. I'd say it still is. Even if I don't love every song, I don't think there's a skip on it. And I think what it is for me is that the band goes in too many directions and has gone in a direction that I didn't want them to. I think I Prevail had the potential to be the best generic metalcore band of all time.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes. 100%.
You give me 15 Bad Things or Bow Downs or Viscerals and album of the year forever and ever.
Dude,
and ever.
They could have gone like the A Day to Remembered route, like an easy core band too.
Yeah,
and it would have been.
I mean, Brian Burkheiser
so
is
good.
like. I think Brian Burkheiser is a top 3 clean vocalist in the scene. Nobody nails a chorus like he does, or has the potential to. I think there's some choruses on here that fall flat, and I think that's where this band and this album loses me, is that the more that they stray into the experimental side, I think that the more fans that they're going to gain, but the less that I like it. And so I don't not like anything here. I think a lot of these songs have some really fucking good breakdowns. Some of my favorite breakdowns in this album come from songs I don't like. And I think that just different individual parts on this get repetitive with a lot of the rap style vocals. And I mean, you know me, I love rap. I just think that some of the songs in here feel repetitive and a style of metalcore that I wish I Prevail wasn't doing. And so I'm left feeling okay. And I think that this band had a lot of potential to be my favorite metalcore band of all time, especially with how talented Eric is. The fact that he can sing, he can do regular uncleans, the man can do gutturals. He was on a Brand of Sacrifice song and did gutturals. Like, there's nothing he can't do. This band has all the potential in the world, and I feel like with some of the creative choices that they've made, it'll get them more fans, but it's squandered their potential for me. So I'm like, okay, I got an I Prevail album. I got some really good songs that I'm going to spend a lot of time with, The chorus on Visceral is unmatched, but Bad Things is one of my favorite songs of the year. I love the new metal vibe of Self-Destruction. There's Fear and Letting Go is an incredible opener along with the intro to it. Body Bag is still great. I love Closure and Doomed. Everything in the middle's got some great moments. But
I think you hit the nail on the what's that? That's
hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head.
The funny thing is, I feel like everything you just said in those last 15 seconds is absolutely how I feel about the album, and I disagree with everything you said for the 5 minutes prior.
I mean, that's fair. Look, I'm glad you like it. They're not going the direction that I want them to, but if I can get, I may never have a full album, but if I can get my 5 to 7 songs of every album that I really, really, really like, and songs with other moments that I'm happy I heard them, fuck it.
No,
if this is the direction I Prevail is going, then it is what it is. I like it.
Imagine if, I'm thinking like if they did like a Wage War kind of thing where they had like one experimental song, like Wage War is like Manic, or like a few experimental songs instead of like so many. I think you're right.
I don't even think there's that many experimental songs on here. I think Self-Destruction and Fuck What You Think You Know are the only experimental songs on this album.
Yeah, I think Trauma was experimental. With this one, they've decided we're going to have 2 vocalists who can sing, we can rap, we got the Uncleans, this is our sound. And they've established a sound, and it works at times. It feels a little redundant at others. Whatever. I'll take what I like, I'll accept what I don't, and I'll move on. Because I've got so many other songs that I love in the older parts of their discography that I'll take what I can get off this one.
I feel like you guys have all aired your baggage.
Our grievances.
With this album. Let me talk about why I love this. Because I came into this probably the most skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm coming out as the strongest defender of this album.
That's how I felt with Rain City Drive.
I think there's Fear and Letting Go is one of the strongest openers of the year. That chorus is... I have been close to making the call that there's Fear and Letting Go is better than Bad Things. I'm not there. I think the chorus in there's Fear and Letting Go is the best chorus on this album. I almost disagree with saying that in the moment, but it's fucking close. And then the breakdown of that song where it says nothing's permanent is just a fantastic way to set up this album, and especially in a song called There's Fear and Letting Go. Trying to let go of things is realizing that nothing's permanent and that things are going to change. I just think it's an awesome call out into a sick breakdown. Body Bag is still a pissed off anthem. The rap verse in that song is fantastic. Self-Destruction is fucking nuts. That song has grown on me so much.
That song has grown on me as well.
It is unfair that whoever decided to allow Eric to scream, "Yeah, I am the one, Alpha Omega, I won't be outdone," is just like...
I need that on a shirt.
Yeah. That needs to be a merch design, like, yesterday. It's filthy, it's disgusting. Bad Things, top 10 song of the year, as I said last month. I think the weakest songs on this album are, other than Doomed, are Fake, Judgment Day, and Closure. Sorry, Dare.
It's okay.
But... Fuck What You Think You Know is a top 3 song on this album. The instrumentation reminds me of Grandson, and boy, I've been in a Grandson drought this year. So when I get anything that reeks of Grandson in even a slightest bit, I'm gonna just bite at the teeth for it. And Fuck What You Think You Know does exactly that in the guitar tone. And not to mention that Eric just delivers a vocal performance of just insane caliber. The delivery on Fuck What You Think You Know is just... incredible. I'm stomping around my room to that shit. Deep End is just Brian gets to shine on Deep End. That song has grown on me a lot as well. I think Long Live the King and Choke are probably the 2 most generic songs on this album. I still love them. I think particularly Choke, the opening riff after Eric is like choke, is sick. And I think Long Live the King is just a massive arena hit, which is kind of exactly what they're gearing up towards at this point with how big they've become. And Visceral and Closure are probably 2 of my least played songs on the album. Closure, as I said, not one of my favorites, but Visceral has an undeniable chorus. And unfortunately, Doomed at the end of the album just doesn't do much for me. I think, if it had a closer in the same vein of like The Fight Within by Memphis May Fire, this album is not just pushing top 10, it's pushing towards like top 5, top 3.
I think one thing I forgot to mention is the amount of times I heard the word demon or the devil in this album really annoyed me.
I feel like I've said it a lot this year when I disagree with you guys, and it's a terrible rebuttal. But sometimes you just enjoy the music, you know? Sometimes it's just like...
Hey man, it's all subjective.
Yeah,
It's all
exactly. But it's like,
subjective.
with the Architect song, like, I still think Tear Gas is a solid song. You guys, like, hate it. But, like, I don't have any good reasoning for why I like it other than it makes me happy. I enjoy when those sounds go through my ears. And that's kind of how I feel about this song. It's like, I just think that everything I Prevail is doing here is great. It just works for me, you know?
See, that's so fucking funny to me because I say the exact same thing. Where like I sent a song, like it is a tangent. I promise I'll make it short. But one of my friends makes music, and I sent him "Hair Out" by Stand Atlantic, and he was like, "Oh, I fucking hate this." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, it's just the same 3 chords over and over again, and this and that." And he's like, "There's no variety." And I'm like, well, this is one of my favorite songs of the year. Like, I just like,
asshole.
You know, the music goes into my ears. I listen to it. It makes me happy. It's not that deep. And then I turn around on here and I'm like, yeah, I've got this really nuanced grievance and this. And Jake's telling me like, man, I just listen to music because it makes me happy and I like what I'm hearing. And I'm like, I'm like, shit, am I the asshole? Like,
No. Your opinion is very valid. Like, I have had that exact same opinion about a lot of albums this year. But this I Prevail album, it's just checking off all the boxes for me.
I'm
other than the closer.
So excited for award season.
Oh yeah. This year in particular, I think there's been a lot to love this year more than any other year, to be honest. But